I went from 3 to 5 guests.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
We all talk about nothing.
Geico. 15 minutes.
This
is a show about.
To hear from Clyde the whole show. That'd be great.
This is a show about nothing, isn't it?
Just you wait, buddy boy. Just you wait.
Call me boy. I take
call him
pleasure
boy?
in gutting you, boy.
Call him boy.
In December, but it
Good old
increases
Nick
the odds of
Cage.
another hype.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody got it.
Yes.
The Rock.
Yeah.
That movie was just on though this weekend.
Boosting inflation only to 2%. It's not clear yet what the new healthcare system planned by 3 powerhouse companies will look like and how exactly it will tackle high prices, but analysts
All right, 2 minutes.
on
Okay.
JP Morgan Chase and Berkshire Hathaway certainly have the
And we
wherewithal to do
live.
it. Berkshire's Warren Buffett has been warning about healthcare's
What the?
for years.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Who are you?
Who are
I'm rolling my eyes at you, Dave. I'm rolling my eyes at you right now.
Disadvantage against the rest of the world.
I'm assuming. Look, I listened to actually a lot of his show. Yeah, I actually listened to a lot of Josh's show this morning on the way in, and I'm assuming he talked about himself for 4 hours.
That would be accurate.
Quality and transparent healthcare at a reasonable cost.
You know, at one point he did kind of sort of make a half-hearted pseudo apology. So I guess that's a quarter of an apology.
Well, for him, that is.
Yeah, well, because it was a couple of the guys, like Gordy included. You know,
Yeah, he
they
got
were really excited
hosed.
to be there. You know, I mean, you know, they had a whole bunch of interviews lined up. You know, I mean, they lost a chance to see a lot of people that even that they admire, like in the radio business. You know,
Right.
The crash.
Right.
The newest recall includes the Toyota Prius, Lexus RX, and NX SUVs.
so yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah.
Almost all automakers to replace defective Takata airbags. And Boston fans should order bacon on game day if they want the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. And the Eagles fans should order more Philly cheesesteak pizzas. Grubhub says,
Ew, who would eat that?
Nobody.
Philly fans?
Grub worms.
Grub worms.
Consumer and Business News. Joe McConnell, NBC News Radio.
They'll challenge your authority because
Respect my authority.
it's your territory.
Jeff Cartman is not
Your
here.
word.
I know.
You say you won't move.
He loves that comparison.
he feigns disgust.
I'm not Cartman.
Until they buckle.
Hey, you guys.
Yeah. Jeff.
Do you? I'm going home.
Yeah, Jeff Cartman. I'm not
For
Cartman.
more information, visit safercar.gov/kids.
All right, showtime.
Okay. Duncan Older on a Thursday, February 1st. Already February. Mardi Gras. It's the first time since doing this show I ran into parade float traffic over on Convention Center Boulevard. I guess that's a
Won't be the
hindrance.
last time.
I guess that's a hindrance I better prepare for each morning when we come
It's
in
coming.
to do the show. And of course, that's the voice of one, Jim Derry, filling in for Jeff Duncan, who is en route to Minneapolis for Super Bowl 52. Clyde Verdun is here.
Apparently, he was on the same flight as one of my friends who was also leaving the city today.
Oh.
Going to Kansas City.
But not to Minneapolis.
Not to Minneapolis, no.
Oh, okay. Not the same thing.
I need to beg your favor for 30 seconds, sir.
Wait a minute. You're already asking
Already.
for old
I learned
crotchety
it.
And also, do you
time?
need 30 seconds?
I learned it for now. I probably need 20.
So you're already begging for old
Well, when
crotchety
you hear
man
Do you
it-
know
when
how
you
many
hear-
people we have on the show today?
when you hear why, you'll be okay.
All
with it.
right, Jim Derry. You get your 20 seconds.
That means you
of-
too, Dave. Be
of
quiet.
glory.
I have to say,
Jeez,
I have
Clyde
to
already?
say, for those of you on YouTube wanting to know why I'm looking quote unquote dapper, which doesn't happen very often.
Your
He's looking-
swag is on.
He's looking
Swag.
overdressed.
Swag is on point today.
Where I'm looking like I literally have the same shirt on I wore yesterday.
Yes, you do. You look like a bum.
because you are.
You look like a bum.
Well, yesterday, if you remember correctly, I told you it was a miracle that in 27 years my mouth hasn't gotten me fired.
Right.
Well, I have another miracle for you today.
More Miracle City?
The lovely and Andrea and Selmo Derry married me 10 years ago today. And she is
pray for
still
her.
with me today.
I pray for her.
We still live in the same house and have kids and get along
Well, congrats.
swimmingly.
Congrats.
So
I
today-
like how you played the presidential music because clearly that was a very
that's
presidential
our-
style statement.
Great
It
producer.
wasn't even like a real rant, so that's good.
No rant, not yet. So thank you to my lovely bride who is going to lunch with me today, and we're going to go have a nice lunch since we have no babysitter unless you want to come over, Larry. So we're going to go to lunch instead of anniversary dinner.
Watch them.
Yeah, let Dave watch
He's going
him.
to come watch him.
Let Dave watch him. Bring him to the studio.
Awesome.
Bring him to iHeart.
So 10 years. Thank you, honey. I know she's listening. Shout out to my lovely wife, Drea.
All right. Good deal.
Shout out to
No.
clearly.
There we go.
No. I'm not even doing this.
Here
Shout out to an awesome woman who, like we talked about yesterday. Again, if you haven't seen the video that Jim did at the end of the prep season with the Lakeshore Titans were undefeated going in the state championship game. He had picked against them all year. Everybody picked against them all year. Go to our prep page, find that, because there's a lovely cameo by his wife who blatantly calls him an idiot on camera. It was hilarious. I think she has fantastic acting chops. We should ask if she wants to be on CSI New Orleans.
Hence why we're still together after 10 years of blissful
And I
marriage.
quote, "You're going to pick against them again, aren't you, you idiot?"
And I did.
And you did. And
I was right.
And he was right.
Well,
That's all that matters.
yeah. At one point, you were going to be right. Exactly. So, all right. Locked and loaded show today. Look, we originally had 3 guests. We're up to 5 now, so we're gonna cram in. If I don't know if we have time, I'll throw the phone number out there: 504-260-1280. I don't know if we're
Just because you have to.
gonna have time to for us to even have some segments for ourselves. But look, great lineup. And
Omar Ashik's coming on?
The next 2 days, no, Omar Ashik is not coming on. But the next segment, I assume we will be talking about maybe someone filling in for him to where he never has to play again. Maybe.
Wow, this is a good day.
Maybe.
Lunch at Antoine's with my wife and no more Omar Ashik.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. But let me just line up the guest list, and we're crossing the gauntlet of local sports with each guest. Around 10:30, we'll go up to Baton Rouge, talk with our own Andrew Lopez. Of course, covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. LSU falling at Tennessee. I think we're starting to see what LSU basketball, when they're playing the studs of the SEC, it's tough sledding for them. So they go down by 23 last night to Tennessee, coming off of a loss. Coming off of a loss, 20-point loss at Auburn. So look, it's LSU kind of is who they are, and you just hope they grow from year 1 to year 2 under Will Wade, and you get all the big-time recruits next year.
You're also going to be that when you kick 2 players off the team to suspend 2 others, and you're kind of looking at pretty much a depleted roster going.
They had 9 players.
Nine players suit up.
Yeah, and I'm guessing a few of those players never actually play.
You left out the biggest result of the night, though, last night.
Well, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to see if you're going to actually report it or not.
I'm not actually sure, but I'm just going to line up the guests, and then we'll get to that. 10:30, Andrew Lopez. 10:45, UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger. Big win last night over Northwestern State. They continue to hold on to the Southland Conference lead. Big game.
Actually, they took
Saturday.
The lead by themselves because Southeastern lost last night, so they are now 9-2 in the conference.
Well, did Nichols play last night?
I
know they were a half game ahead.
Yeah,
they were a half game ahead of both of them. So yeah, they've maintained the lead. They played Nichols State on Saturday afternoon.
Go Colonels.
Southland. Look at Clyde throwing out the
Privateers.
The Nichols. Should I say go Tigers because that's where I went?
Well, I went to LSU and UNO, so
yeah.
so
there you go.
Just pick who you want.
Tiger-Tears.
You pick whoever you want.
Go Tiger-Tears.
So Mark Schlesinger around 10:45 will get an update on last night's game and what's coming up next because they're primed to make another run at an NCAA tournament, which is great for the city of New Orleans. Top of the 11 o'clock hour. As I mentioned yesterday, since it's Super Bowl week, Saints aren't in it. We're going to try to relive happy joy times of Super Bowl 44. Yesterday we had on Jermon Bushrod. Today we're going to have on All-Pro and Saints Hall of Famer Carl Nix is going to join us. He jumped on the show a couple months ago. One of the best guys to talk to, tells it like it is. And he's always got the best Super Bowl story because he said he was going to MFing Disneyland, and that quote was probably the best quote after the Super Bowl you could have possibly had. So we'll have Carl Nix on. Then around 11:30, we will talk with our own Herbie Teope, of course, covers the Saints for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. We'll pick his brain on kind of what maybe they expect this offseason from the Saints. Also, the Alex Smith trade. He covered Alex Smith when he was covering the Chiefs. Also covered Doug Peterson, of course, was the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. Now he is the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, so we'll talk with Herbie about that. And then,
if he take it all first hour, that's the guess.
If he could get away from jury duty, our own buddy Todd Graffagnini, the voice of the Tulane Green Wave, they had a big win last night, and we're going to play his epic call later on in the show because he almost had a meltdown as Tulane had to go to overtime, but they
after
do beat
leading by 10 though.
East Carolina, leading by double digits.
That just happened.
That is part of the call. David's already got it up on cue. Dave, why don't we just play the call? All right, we'll set this up. We'll play the call, and then we'll play it later on when Todd comes on. But look, Tulane, they had lost the lead to East Carolina, and East Carolina's not very good.
No.
And that's a game Tulane should have won, and they were winning, and then Tulane went ice cold in the second half. East Carolina came back. But there's literally 2 seconds left, and there's a baseball pass down the floor. All right, Dave, let's hear Todd's call of total depression land from last night's Tulane win. They won this game. So here's Todd's call.
And Frazier. So Barkley's going to inbound it, baseline right to my left. So now they cannot run the baseline here. Blake Paul jumping up and down. Barkley trying to get it in, throws a baseball pass. It's taken by Tyson, who throws up a prayer, and it goes in with .8 to go. I don't believe it. I do not believe what I just saw. I don't believe it.
Oh, no!
I don't believe it. Tyson got a jump ball, just an absolute prayer. He was falling down, threw it in with a left hand. Just a miracle, a prayer. Just an absolute prayer was answered. I cannot believe I just saw that live. So now you're in a world of trouble because you got .8 to go, and barring another miracle, we're going to overtime, and I'm looking at incredulous faces all around this arena.
Oh, he almost slipped in.
I cannot believe that just happened.
And he almost slipped in some word in between incredulous and arena.
Probably, yeah, exactly. But Tulane won the game.
Well, you know.
They won 71-69 in overtime.
Now we knew what it felt like to be against the 88 Dodgers and Kirk Gibson, because I can't believe what I just saw.
Well, Graff is a Dodgers fanatic, so that fits.
There it goes.
Well,
there you go.
Right
where he got it from.
That fits right in with him. So, all right, why don't we take a break right here on the show? It literally took me the whole segment to get out the guest list, so let me go quickly.
It did.
10:30, Andrew Lopez. 10:45, Mark Schlesinger, UNO men's basketball coach. 11:05, former Saints guard, All-Pro Hall of Famer, Carl Nix. Let me see if I can remember them all. 11:30, Herbie Teope. 11:45, Todd Graffagnini. And coming up next,
12:05, Omar Ashik.
Now that he could be on Eric Asher's show. We'll save Omar Ashik for Eric Asher's show. But speaking of the Pelicans, could they be wheeling and dealing? We will touch on that coming up next. Here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Jim Derry's here. Clyde Redan's here. I'm here. Dave's there. We're everywhere. We're Dunc and Holder. I literally couldn't remember everyone that's on the show.
Shot at $1,000 now.
You had 3, you had to add 2 more.
Rock you like a hurricane.
Scorpions action on a Thursday.
Very nice. Very nice.
Standard data and message rates apply. That's cash to 200-200.
Pictured a Josh Scott of Marshawn Lattimore.
Sports1280.com.
It's almost like Josh said,
legend.
say cheese.
Cheese. WWE Hall of
Or he's doing
Fame
the old
during
Popeye and
WrestleMania.
Pals.
Yeah.
Roll 'em.
tickets. Tickets
Dude,
on sale.
I don't-
Can't do it with glasses on.
I can't do it. I'll break
Hold
my
on,
wrist.
hold on.
Spinning oldies all
All right,
night.
YouTubers.
Favorite
Roll 'em, roll 'em.
Total
Oh, boy.
price, $550. Just send me your half with Zelle.
Oh, Zelle. That's already in my Wells Fargo mobile app. Sending money.
By the way, in case you're wondering, Florida State for their
Send and
spring
receive
game
money
are going to
from just about
have
anyone
Salt and
with a
Pepper,
US
Vanilla
bank
Ice, and
account.
Rob
Wells
Bass.
Fargo,
Oh, God.
building better
Also
every
known
day.
as three of the main acts
We have
for the I
complete-
Love the 90s tour.
We have completely lost focus of what football is supposed to be.
I saw Salt and Pepper at Spinnaker on the spring break.
In Panama City.
Lorde is going straight to her fans after being snubbed at the Grammy Awards.
I don't know
In
what
New
to tell you,
Zealand,
Jim.
they took
I-
out a full-page ad in her country.
There's a lot of
This
people, man.
newspaper
It's about
thanking
attention and
fans for
spectacle.
I know.
And if you don't get it,
musicians.
people get fired.
Lorde was
I get it. I'm an
nominated
old
for Album
fart.
of the
Well, I
Year,
wouldn't
but
say
she
that.
was the only
I would,
album of the year
I would say that
finalist
you're,
not asked to perform a
the
solo
emphasis
during
for
Sunday
you
night
is being lied and things that should be placed in.
The latest summer package
Good-
tour is set to
good
feature
way to
two
put
of
it.
the finest voices and one of the greatest.
Well, you're the best
guitarists
color man in the business.
Hey, man, that's what I do.
Rogers,
I'm here to
Adam
help
Wilson, and Jeff Beck will kick off
supplement
their
and
Stars
uplift.
Aligned Tour July
YouTubers need to
18th
listen
in
to
West
Holy
Valley
Cross
City,
Jesuit
Utah,
next Tuesday
and
night.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, have you seen that?
August
Have you seen
26th.
pretty much what? St. Aug?
26, 23 or whatever. it was.
Yeah.
The Go-Go's
Yeah.
are
Oh,
going
my
to be
God.
putting out a
Oh, they played like Four Corners. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
concerts this summer.
And now they're for
Meantime,
Josh
Kinda
must
leave-
really, Josh
Head
hates
over
that
heels
slow down
featuring
game,
the
and he had
songs
to
of the
cover that
band
one.
set to open on Broadway July 26th.
But hey,
The
clearly it
production
worked,
will
and clearly
debut
they
in
beat
San
now what
Francisco
Brother
on
Martin and
April 10th.
Jesuit.
Hello,
Yeah, we'll see if they can
it's me.
hang on to the
Adele
Yeah.
is paying
lead.
tribute to the backwoods Barbie herself, Dolly Parton. Adele transformed into Dolly and shared a picture with fans on
Adele
Instagram
transformed
saying,
into
Dolly
Dolly?
Parton, we love you. That's
15 seconds.
NBC News Radio.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Duncan Holder. Jim Derry filling in for Jeff Duncan. We will talk with Jeff tomorrow when he's in Minneapolis. Also catch up with Josh Katzenstein, who's up in Minneapolis tomorrow as well. And, of course, Clyde Verdun is here. And Clyde's going to be here every day
Forever.
now?
Forever.
Every day.
Forever.
All of his YouTube fans are going to be in love with him. Are you gonna
Way
like,
more cocky Clyde.
Are you gonna set up your own little camera and make a 2-shot? I think you need to do that.
I thought about it, but I still haven't figured out how to get. We have to get another Mevo so I can get that camera and connect it, and then put it on me, and then I can switch between y'all and me.
Is this April Fool's? I mean, it's funny.
No, but
No, it's February Fool.
No, but we got a fool talking on the other side of the camera and the mic.
What is all this hate?
You still never announced the biggest score of the night last night.
I don't know what it is then.
Well, in their first season ever playing varsity basketball, the Christ Episcopal girls won their division championship last night, and they are just an inch away from going to Alexandria and playing in the tournament. Their first ever varsity basketball season.
Where is Christ Episcopal again?
It is in Mandeville.
I was about to say I'd never heard of this school.
Oh, come on. Come
I
on.
don't live over
Give
there.
Coach Steve Griffin some love. We're giving Coach Steve Griffin some love this morning.
He's got love. There you go. They're not one of those like schools that pop up in like a strip mall where like
No,
where like Dwight Howard ends up or somebody like that.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Gerald Green.
They've been in elementary school for a long time, and up to 8th grade for a long time.
So it's
Giving
not like
Coach Griffin some love.
a girls' high school basketball factory.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, just checking.
Clearly, it's not John Curtis right now.
Congratulations to Christ Episcopal.
Just checking.
You in your division championship, and we'll see you in Alexandria.
There you go. All right. Switching over to the NBA. Pelicans, of course, are on the prowl, trying to pick up some pieces somewhere along the line. A couple of rumors floating out there. One, of course, Woj, Adrian Wojnarowski, reports everything all the time, rules the world in NBA news, saying that the Pelicans were interested possibly in reuniting with one Tyreek Evans.
Yeah.
But it sounds like I don't even know what team he plays for. They're looking.
He plays for the Grizzlies, man.
I don't know.
He plays for the Grizzlies. He's actually having a really good year for the Grizzlies right now.
He helped beat the Pels not too long ago.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know.
And it made you wonder. It's like, why did we get rid of this guy again?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he was hobbled here and they needed to make moves. I don't know.
He still moves better than Ashik, although he's not the same
player.
They're
not the same position.
So what?
Any
he could play center better than Omar Ashik and coach better than
Unbelievable.
Any cheap shot you can have. So that's on the table. But probably of more interest locally that Greg Monroe is going to be bought out, his contract out of Phoenix. Pelicans need a big man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's from the area, and our own Will Guillory is reporting that there's mutual interest. Now, I've also seen that interest could be from Boston. They have more money they can offer him, so I don't know. But
you get a hometown discount?
No. Would I give anyone a hometown discount? No, not in that. And if you'd go to Boston, would you be in a better situation?
I mean, if you're Greg Monroe.
Exactly. If you're Greg Monroe, you go to the where they can pay the most and the best team.
So in other words, if Philly came out of the blue and offered you a chunk of change to go do the Dunc and Holder show in Philly, you just like float off and leave us here. You say you don't give a hometown discount. I mean, you would just float off and take the Holder part of it to Philly.
But I'm not also worried about winning and losing games, and I don't expect my columnist career to end like in 5 years. So you don't maximize. So you don't maximize. If you got if I had a shelf life, I'd chase the money.
Well, everyone has a shelf life.
I would chase the money, yes, but no, I don't.
So in other words, we need to be careful when you get to about 60.
Right.
We need to be careful that you're going to take this show on the road.
Right, when I'm about 60.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but no, outside of that, you're stuck with me. Humanity's stuck with me here. But no, look, Greg Monroe. There's always been chatter about basically, fan-generated, media-generated locally here about how great it would be that Greg Monroe would come here. I think he's averaging, 13 points a game this year, Clyde?
Yes.
And it's something that they need. And the fact that you don't have to trade for him, that's probably the only way you would have a shot at even getting someone like Greg Monroe.
Absolutely. And if you can go by the reports of what Will's saying, that maybe there is a stronger mutual interest there because he might want to come back to the area and he wants to play for his hometown team. There may be smoke there that might lead to some fire. But yeah, over his career he's averaged close to 14 points a game. So that's instant production you can get in. He's averaging 10 points a game right now during the season, and he's only played with three. The Suns were his third team. He was also with Milwaukee, and obviously he started his career in Detroit. But you're thinking at this point, if you are looking at now, we have, 7 days left before the trade deadline before all these things go on. If you're the Pelicans, you have to absolutely look at the fact that if you can potentially land him, that may preclude you or may stop you from wanting to do what I call the Dell Dump special, which is saying, let's go and get another shooting guard, another guy who is, and make Tyreek Evans and do what we did, 3 years ago with trying to figure out, is Giroux the point guard, is Tyreek the point guard, is who's going to play off two, and all this other kind of stuff. You get Greg Monroe, you're almost essentially back to the team that you were, having an Anthony Davis on one side and a Greg Monroe on the other side, two sizable forces down low, and hopefully getting better consistent play out of the rest of your guards on the outside, because that's the thing we didn't talk about yesterday. Was we didn't talk about how Etuan Moore had 5 points, Rajon Rondo only played 15 minutes and had 1 point. That's where your production is losing any kind of momentum and credibility right now, because if you can't get any kind of quality minutes and or points from your starters, you're kind of leaving yourself in a bind.
And Dante Cunningham is not exactly some offensive mastermind either. And you're not going to get 20 from Ian Clark. And you got 20
not every
Ian
night.
Clark. Well,
you've been dissing on Ian Clark since they got traded here in the summer.
No, he signed as a free agent, but you got Ian Clark. I was fine with Ian Clark, but the problem is
in August
you would expect him to come off the bench and be a contributor, but Was he been banged up and so he hasn't been able to play? But you're not going to get 20. The problem is you get 20 from him and you still lose by 11. That's not on Ian Clark.
No,
you need other people.
That's from your starters.
He needs to be a piece like that. So, that's part of the problem.
If you get a Greg Monroe, you won't have the problem of what we talked about yesterday in the 0 second chance points.
Yeah,
you'll at least have a 5.
Exactly.
You'll have a center,
and you know that at least you can get some opportunities. And look, I mean, if they get 8 points off of second chance points the other night, they win the game. So against a very poor defensive Kings team.
Well, the Pelicans are a very poor defensive team in their own right.
Right, but you got to have some kind of like offensive. If you're going to play that way, you have to be able to get some offensive putbacks. You have to get in the 15 to 20 range on the offensive putback end, and they're not getting anything, but they don't have any legs. They
played too many minutes.
Yeah,
because their bench isn't empty.
And it's also one of those things where,
and at least they gave AD some rest the other night, but which was much needed.
But it hurts you because he's not on the floor.
He played so much, 2 nights before, that he looked like he just wanted to go take a nap.
And that's the thing too. It's almost as if, really, unfortunately, the DeMarcus Cousins injury happens, and then you still have a few games you have to play after that in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
You almost wish that injury happens, you beat the Rockets, maybe you have a couple of days to kind of recoup and try to and really kind of reconfigure what you're going to do and how you're going to move forward. But then you've got to turn right around. You're going to play the Clippers on Sunday, and you're going to turn back around 2 days later. You're going to play the Kings at home.
I mean,
those are the two games that they have to win no matter who's playing, and now they have to go on the road and play 2 really good teams. So
like there's no rest for them, and they're still trying to figure out how they move forward with it. And you hope for their sake they start to really kind of come to a little bit. It's almost like you're in a daze because you can't believe it just happened. You saw one of your key pieces go down. You don't have any time to recover. You don't have any time to kind of gloss over it. You've got to go back out on the floor, and you don't have guys that I don't think are ready to go out on the floor. But you need time to be able to kind of bring that back in and go back to where they should be at this point, because they're way more talented than what they showed in the last 3 days.
And in the meantime, you got to still try to add pieces because you're offensively deficient now because Boogie's out, and you've got to outscore people because you're not beating anyone playing really good defense.
Hell, between that and just someone being a rim protector, man, I'll take that. A guy who's just a rim protector.
Be aggressive, though. I mean, look. They showed when they were aggressive against the Kings, they were able, and I know not every team's as bad as the Kings inside, but they showed when they actually tried to get the ball inside, they were able to do things, and they go on runs, and we're going to stop doing that. We're going to go back to just jacking shots up all over the place, and just because Darius Miller hits a 3 here or whatever, that doesn't mean that they're going to continue to be able to do that.
Well, they were hot a few weeks ago, and now they've cooled off because you knew at some point they were going to cool off. Now it's coinciding with the loss of Boogie, so it's like the double whammy. Why don't we take a break right here on the show? We get back, switch gears, talk a little LSU. They have lost back-to-back games against top 20 opponents. You kind of figure that's going to happen.
Surprise.
That's no surprise. So LSU basketball's kind of come back down to earth. We'll talk with our own Andrew Lopez about that. Baseball season is coming. And, oh, by the way, National Signing Day is next week.
Again,
and I'm sure LSU is very curious to see at least a couple of prospects that would bolster their class. We'll talk with Lopes about that. 10:45, UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger. 11:05, Carl Nix. 11:30, Herbie Teope. 11:45, Todd Graffinini. Jam-packed show today.
12:05, Omar Ashik.
And on Eric Asher's show, maybe Omar Ashik will show up. So if you want to listen to that, you can. So if you want to listen to all the other stuff, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeart Radio app, Dunc and Holder. Why are you saddling poor Omar Ashik on Eric Asher? Don't do that to him. What has he done to you?
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
This report is
That's like
brought to you
back
by the
in,
French Market District's Mardi Gras Mass
Back when I was
Market.
doing
Happy
radio with
Thursday
Gus, I
from
would
the Fox
call
8
Aaron
Weather Center.
Gray
I'm
the lost
meteorologist
sheepdog
Shelby
and Marco
Latino.
Bellinelli. I'd
Plenty
call
more
him the
clouds
Italian
around
plumber,
today. Temperature-
as if he was like
The
a Mario.
Italian plumber.
As if he was a Mario
Overnight
brother.
tonight.
Gus on the
That could
show
spark
every
up
now
a
and
few showers during the overnight
Come on,
He can't come on the show. He's got his own show on a different
Who cares? It's still
From the
funny.
Fox 8
And
Weather
we
Center, I'm
spurned their
meteorologist Shelby
station.
Latino.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a great
Great carnival
We
at the
can't
French Market
hear.
District's Mardi Gras
We don't
Mass
have to
Market.
say who he
That's
works
only
for.
Friday, February 9th
Oh,
through
okay.
February
He
12th.
could troll.
A 4-day family-friendly festival.
He'll be like Josh
featuring
Ennis
Yeah,
calling
Josh Ennis.
610.
Yeah, exactly.
And drink for purchase. Learn more at FrenchMarket.org. As a marketer, you want to reach everyone.
All right,
Adults,
we need to be
teens,
out of this
millennials.
segment
but
by
it's not
about
like these groups all hang out in the same place, right?
about 42,
Actually
so
wrong.
just be
They're all right here,
cognizant.
listening to radio commercials just like this one. Radio ads connect with 92%.
Y'all do know what cognizant means, right?
in Google, more than Facebook.
Yeah.
In fact, radio reaches.
I am well
20%
aware of
more
what cognizant
millennials than
means.
TV.
Shut up, Clyde. Nobody's talking to you.
Talk to all in one place. You want to
It
go
means
to iHeartMedia.com.
do
and
what
get
you're
AM
told.
FM working for you.
Just days before Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis, there is no credible security threat. That's the word from federal and local
Oh, Lord.
authorities.
You can't
NFL
say stuff
Commissioner
like
Roger
that.
Goodell giving his
You can't
annual-
say things like that.
Why
Say
not?
things like what?
Like there's no credible threat. Just days before
Goodell
Super Bowl
touching on
52,
various topics,
the security says there's no credible threat. I mean, you don't say things like that.
No, the government's always right. They're giving us the best information they have at hand, okay?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Lord.
You and your conspiracy theories.
Broke a franchise
Okay.
record for points in a quarter.
Alternative
48
security
open
facts.
12 minutes. Meanwhile,
Alternative
including a
security.
career high in
facts.
franchise best
Boom.
9 3-pointers as the Hornets hammer the Hawks 123-110 in Atlanta. And more than 24 Russian athletes banned from the Olympics for life. have
By the
had
way,
those lifetime
LeBron
bans
says he'd be open
overturned
to
and will
listening
now
to
be allowed
talks
to
with
compete.
Pelicans?
the Warriors.
Olympics
Oh, I
in
thought you were gonna say
Pyeongchang,
come
South
here.
Korea
Nope.
in February.
The Warriors,
That's sports.
if they have a
Jake
max
Irwin,
spot
NBC
open.
News Radio.
The Warriors.
So they just
Yes, play that.
they move on from Durant.
All right, 10 seconds.
Take LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
We have Lopes.
Don't ever give up. Caregiving is tougher than.
Yeah.
AARP.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AA.
I did almost forget those.
We bleed purple, green, blue, black, and gold. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Duncan Holder.
Quiet riot.
I don't even know what that accent is.
A little quiet riot.
Quiet riot.
Tell him, Dave.
Are you saying quite right?
Quiet riot.
I don't know what's going on here.
It's quiet riot.
Dave, you know me. You know it. I'm
Jesus.
I'm trying to herd the cats here over here on Duncan Holder.
Good luck with that.
Exactly. So joining us, one of our fellow cats here at NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune up in Baton Rouge, Andrew Lopez jumping on the show. Lopes, let's start with LSU basketball, kind of come back down to earth. You've got some player problems, suspensions, 2 kids booted off the team. They go up to Tennessee with only 9 players, and even at full strength, probably wasn't going to be a win. But just assess the program at this rate, and what is kind of the viable record you feel like the rest of the way? How can they do in SEC play?
Yeah, right now, I mean, you had it. You looked at it before the suspensions, and you thought all of your home games are still winnable. You come back home this Saturday with Arkansas. You have Ole Miss, Missouri, and Vandy at home. There's 4 more road games. You're at Florida, at Alabama, at Georgia, out South Carolina. Let's just say you split it. You go 4-4. And at that point, you're looking at a 16-13 record, I think. You also have a game against Mississippi State in March. So 17-13, 16-14, I think is achievable still. Maybe because of the depth issues you have now, maybe you lose one of them. But I still think this team finishes above 500, even if it is 16-15 if they lose the first game in the SEC tournament. I still think this team finishes above 500, which you have to take as a win in Will Wade's first year.
Lopes, you getting a lot of sleep these days?
I don't. What is that? What is sleep?
That's fair.
Is that when you close your eyes and stop doing stuff because I don't like I take naps.
It's called rest. Resting.
You're a cat napper. Let's talk about National Signing Day coming up. Do you expect any big surprises coming up on February 7th, coming up next week?
The big thing right now, it sounds like it's going to be if LSU takes James Foster, the quarterback from Alabama, or Mario Goodrich, the cornerback from Missouri. That seems to be what it's going to come down to. You would think that Patrick Surtain is locked in for one of those spots. You still think Jamar Chase is probably in for LSU at this point. Kelvin Joseph is already committed. So at least one spot left in this class for LSU. And, LSU had 6 coaches to go see James Foster yesterday. They're going to make a final push for him. I think he would get the spot ahead of Mario Goodrich, but they would take Mario Goodrich too if they can't get Foster. So I think the biggest surprise left would be which of those two fills the final spot in LSU's class, because I do think Surtain commits on signing day, and I do think Jamar Chase commits on signing day.
Speaking of Jamar Chase, what do you think, Lopes, after he decommitted from Florida and obviously he was still thinking about Florida, and it came down to 3 schools. What do you think was the final thing that tipped it for him? And it's kind of been clear the last few weeks, just kind of listening to the tone of things, that he is going to LSU. What do you think was the last coin that got him to flip to LSU?
It's really, people are going to kind of shake their head at this, but to me, a lot of this kind of has to do with Ensminger and the fact that
you're right. I am shaking my head. What are you talking about, Ensminger? What?
Finally going to open up the passing offense, and he has taken a bit of this. That's why, in part, they got Terrace Marshall, because Ensminger took the lead on that recruitment. And if you want to know who could have broke the Steve Ensminger is going to be the OC news, it was probably Terrace Marshall's parents, because they knew a while before everybody else. They know they're going to finally open up the passing game the way that they keep saying they have for the last 4 or 5 years. It's going to happen now. And it's going to happen because they have no choice. Okay? You can say it when you have Leonard Fournette in the backfield, but guess what? You're going to hand the ball to Leonard Fournette. You could say it when you have Darius Geis in the backfield. You're going to hand the ball off to Darius Geis. There's nobody that jumps at you like that right now. You have Nick Brossette, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde is can be a great option as a third down guy, as a slot receiver. Right. Nick hasn't proven it on this level just yet. He's going to get the first chance. And then you got a lot of freshmen. Passing the ball is going to be what they do. You listen to it, and I think Jamar knows that, and he can kind of come in and have a chance to play early at LSU, close to home, and I think that all is kind of working for him right now.
Andrew Lopez covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Jamar, he was committed to Florida. When did LSU start getting really the edge on that?
You know what? Even with him getting the edge, I mean, they have been in the mix most of the time. They've kind of had some ebbs and flows, and TCU was in the mix for a while, and then he had that whole deal where his recruitment kind of got a little screwed up by the opening when he was out there in the NFL Network. He couldn't commit, and they switched to another event. But LSU really started pushing for him last summer and made sure, I think maybe in September, after all that kind of shook out, that, hey, you're our guy, we want you. And they've really kind of cranked it up since National Signing Day, since the early period, and going full force. I think November, December is when they've kind of gone on the full press, if you will, to try to make sure that they get Jamar. And now it's down to LSU and Auburn, and I would think that LSU is gonna win that battle.
Hey, Andrew, switching gears a little bit, about 15 days away from baseball season starting up. LSU's got a pretty tough gauntlet coming out of the woodwork with Notre Dame at home and then hosting Texas. And, of course, leading into your story today, LSU always has expectations, high expectations going into the season, College World Series, winning the SEC, trying to win a national championship. Talk a little bit about where they're at going into the last week and a half of preseason camp before the opening day against Notre Dame on the 16th.
Yeah, they the good thing about it, I mean, you're going to have a lot of fans, I think, in the box on opening weekend. Granted, if the weather is gorgeous, but you're going to have Notre Dame the first weekend, and then you have Texas the following weekend. It's their way of kind of playing some big-name teams before you get into SEC play in mid-March, and they don't have to leave Baton Rouge to do it this time. In fact, they don't leave Baton Rouge except for 2 games in non-conference, well, before SEC play starts, and one of those is to go to Hammond to play Southeastern, and the other is to go to Lafayette to play the Raging Cajuns. They don't have a road series until the end of March when they go to Nashville and take on Vandy. So right now for me, it's trying to get all of these new pieces together. You have 32 active players on this roster. 15 are returners, 17 are new. You have to kind of piece together what some of these new guys can give you. You'll have Daniel Cabrera is going to be the only true freshman starter. The former Curtis, two-way guy, and he played his senior year at Parkview Baptist. He's going to be the starting left fielder. You're going to have starting JUCO guys at catcher and at second base, Hunter Fiducia and Brant Broussard. Everybody else is going to have some experience, but when you get to the pitching, that's where I think Maneri really needs to figure out what he has. He's going to go with Caleb Gilbert, Zach Hess at the front, his 1-2 pitch combination to start. He's going to give Todd Peterson, a sophomore, a chance to kind of step in as that third guy. But that bullpen's going to look really, really new with a lot of new faces. You'll have Matthew Beck in there, maybe Nick Bush, Austin Bain. After that, it's really dicey as to where he turns, and that's what some of these new faces are really going to have to step up.
Andrew Lopez covers LSU for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Hey, Andrew, appreciate the time as always, my friend.
All right, thanks,
Go
guys.
take a nap.
All right, that's Andrew Lopez, heads swirling up in Baton Rouge, trying to keep track of everything going on, all things LSU. So coming up next here on the show, we will head to the lakefront. UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger. They're coming off of a big win against Northwestern State, leading the Southland Conference, and will take on Nicholls State, a big game on Saturday. So we'll talk with Coach Schles about all things UNO Privateers basketball. So come on back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder.
I'm a finder, and I'm a keeper. I'm not a loser, and I ain't a weeper. I got the boys.
Josh is moving to mornings.
Prompt in response to
Strong
text.
coffee and took away his Bailey's Irish cream. Josh
just
morning
texted
6 to
like
10.
15 minutes ago.
Sports 1280.
New Orleans.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
It's all your favorite music. It's all your favorite stations. And it's all
Stinchcomb,
free. This
Greer,
one app keeps you connected with all
Jeff,
the music
Josh,
you love,
and then,
including the biggest
radio
new
dude
releases.
from Philly.
And iHeartRadio is the only music app that also gives you your favorite radio stations. Open the iHeartRadio app. Pick a song, a playlist, an artist, or a station, and tap play. Download or open the free iHeartRadio app today.
I needed a $2,500 loan to cover some expenses, so I went to the A-team at Avant.com. Applying was easy, and I was approved quickly through Avant.com. Promo code radio. Avant.com, promo code radio.
I did a prediction video already, and I picked the Eagles.
Alexa will now send a text message for you. Users can ask Amazon's voice-activated assistant to send a message to their smartphone contact, and it can be routed through SMS or Alexa's messaging platform.
All right, we got Coach Les.
All right, cool.
In the U.S., and only works on Android phones that have the Alexa app installed, but you can send messages to iPhone.
All of our Saints videos, because we would record some, we would record a couple after like a Wednesday show.
Windows is going to start clearing out those sneaky help of your computer messages for you. Windows Defender will start targeting and removing programs that trick you into paying for a service with alarming messages about the health of your computer. The targeted programs will include any that exaggerate the severity of reported errors on your computer. Google's flight feature will now predict if your flight is delayed. Historical data and machine learning algorithms provide reasons for the delays, like weather or an aircraft arriving late. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace. Learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting Ace Your Board can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
UNO, big win last night out at the lakefront, beating Northwestern State out of Natchitoches. Big win, 82-64. UNO now 12-10, but most importantly, 9-2 in the conference, leading the Southland Conference. And pleased to be joined by UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger. Hey, Mark, appreciate the time. Just right off the bat, assess what you saw last night. You had to be pretty pleased considering you guys played the Demons a couple of games ago. It was a little closer game, and last night it seemed like you guys were able to take care of business on the home court.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me a minute to come on. Yeah, it was good. We had a good atmosphere in beautiful lakefront arena, and we had a weird quirk in the schedule where we played, them twice in a week, and so it was a very short turnaround, and you tried not to show all your cards the first game because you knew you had them a week later in the second one, and the guys really showed up and played, and they've been fun to coach, man. To have 8 new guys and to see them come together quickly, and they're just playing really, really unselfishly, and good team basketball right now. They're a lot of fun to coach.
Coach Jim Derry here. Talk a little bit about how we know that your non-conference schedule was as tough as anyone's in the country, and just talk a little bit about how that's paid off now, and a lot like it did last year, and going 9-2 in conference so far this year. But playing all those tough games and a lot of them on the road, or most of them on the road, just talk about what it's done for you now.
Well, it's kind of like when you go on that crazy diet and the crazy workout plan, and it just sucks, while you're going through it. But then, like, you actually can fit that pair of pants you hadn't worn about 6 years, and you think you look pretty cool. That's kind of what it's like. It's just miserable when you're in the midst of it. We're fighting, and it was the 11th toughest non-conference schedule in the country, and we're going out and playing tough game against great coach every night, and we're playing really good strings of minutes, but we just weren't mature enough yet and hadn't gelled enough yet to get over the hump and win those. And it just was a battle. It was a great coaching lesson and battle for me and the staff to just really find new ways to push buttons to get these guys to not believe in what we were doing, and to have a believability factor that we were a good team and could win, just because we lost 8 of those games, and to just keep grinding and keep seeing the big picture, and then for it to come together and these guys really get clicking. Once we had gotten some time together, it's been fun. And we've got the toughest road to finish in these next 7 of any team in our league. It rates out not even close to the toughest schedule the rest of the way. But I think that's good for us as well. If we can close this thing out in these last 7, I think it'll really prepare us for the tournament as well. So I think each of these challenges are for a reason, and us as coaches have to figure out ways to make it work. Coach Payton didn't have the easiest of schedule to start this season this year, and it worked out pretty good for the Saints.
Coach, not to show my age or anything, but I covered UNO back in the days of Coach Floyd, and he used to do the same thing. He'd play a bunch of really tough teams, Arizona, Notre Dame, all sorts of tough teams, and it actually helped not just build for that season, but really helped build the program. Is that what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, it's always been. We've always. I've always felt it's important for us to, especially everything we went through 7-8 years ago when I first got here. I've always felt it's important for us to get the university brand back out on the national stage. And the easiest way to do that is to go play as good a schedule as you can. I think it's important for people to know that, hey, everything's okay here, and we're still educating people at a high rate. Our city is healthy. Our city is doing things moving forward, and so in twofold. One, it's good for our program, good for our kids. But then, the part about people understanding that things are good at UNO, contrary sometimes to media reports and things that come out. Hey, things are okay. I still remember reading some articles 3-4 years ago that we're going to close the doors, and I mean those didn't exactly come to fruition. We're still educating people here at a high rate and doing a heck of a job at it, and we're the educational engine of the city, whether some people like it or not, and I like it because I know that it's a hell of a backbone to have.
UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Last night, Trayvon Thibodeau, 21 points. But then I look at the minutes played, and you guys went 10 deep, really, almost 11 deep. Just your depth on your team. How much do you kind of tap into that? Because obviously last night, a lot of guys got a lot of minutes.
Well, last year's team was a little different from where we've been in our other years here, where, we were really only 7 deep, maybe 7.5 deep last year, and with that championship team and NCAA tournament team. And this year we've got more depth, and over the last 4 or 5 games we've really tried to spread the minutes out, getting Scott Plaisance back from the Country Day product, getting him back at Christmas as a transfer. Really allowed us to give Thibodeau and McCourt-Post a little bit of a breather and then not have to carry such heavy load minute-wise. And he's done really well in helping give us a boost. But I think in this last stretch, I think that the sacrifice we've made in getting a lot of guys minutes is going to pay off, because it's given them opportunities to get better in game situations and to really where it'll be the next man up. And we've put some weird combinations together and had a lot of success. And we'll have some guys that we don't think are going to help us win games in these next 7. That'll probably be the difference in us having a chance to win another championship.
Mark, one more, and we'll let you run here. You guys are taking on Nicholls State on Saturday. They're 7-2 in the conference. You guys are 9-2 in the conference, leading the conference. And all you do is you got to look at Stephen F. Austin 7-2, Sam Houston 7-3, Southeastern 7-3. It's jam-packed. So obviously, this Nicholls game is going to be a start of a pretty significant run for you guys.
It's a major game for us. We're hoping we get a great crowd out. People take a little Mardi Gras break and come out and watch us. The women are tip at 2. We'll go at 4:15 and get some great fan support here, like we've been growing our base. And it's a huge game for us. To be able to get this one would really give us a real true 2-game lead on some people going into that bye for us on Wednesday, where hopefully we can watch some other teams play and us be able to sit and watch maybe a team or two lose that would help us. But it's a huge game for us, and hopefully we get another great crowd out here in Lakefront Arena and enjoy the atmosphere and watch our team play. They're a lot of fun and they're very entertaining to watch.
UNO men's basketball coach Mark Schlesinger, again, 4 o'clock tip will be on Saturday at the Lakefront Arena taking on Nicholls State, and the women will be tipping off around 2. So if you want to go see some good college basketball, because the women's team's playing as well, head out to the Lakefront this Saturday. Hey Slash, appreciate you jumping on the show, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having us.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it. All right, that's Coach Mark Schlesinger. And sorry, Clyde.
No, you literally were going to ask the exact same question I was going to ask.
I know.
Which is literally about how good the South has been this year. Because you look at how stacked that really top with UNO right now, going all the way down.
Look at Stephen F. Austin. They're 18-4. They beat LSU, and they were a tournament team last year.
Stephen F. Austin has been the class of the league for a very long time. Sam Houston State's also been good. But you look at that, and you look at where the Southland has progressed from really a few years ago to where it is now. That parity is there, which makes the basketball so good to watch. And it also means that you're going to have a lot of teams that are going to be in contention. I was actually talking to the radio guy for Northwestern State last night, and even he was saying the parity in this league is unlike a lot of people who follow the Southland and who watch the Southland have seen in a very, very long time, which means that whoever wins the regular season, be it UNO, maybe be somebody else, it's really going to go, all that stuff's going to go out the window once everybody gets to Katy, which is where the conference tournament is. Because once you get to Katy, and once that conference tournament starts and tips off, the best team that's going to be in that may not be the number 1 seed. It might be a 5 seed, maybe the 6 seed, might be the 8. You don't really know, but it's going to make for an interesting end to the college basketball season to see who will be the representative out of the Southland to go to the NCAA tournament.
I'm just glad we're talking about relevant college basketball around this area again.
To go back to Stephen F. Austin, just looking at their schedule, I mean, they beat LSU by 1, but, 2 of their losses, they lose to Mississippi State, but they only lose by 5, and they lose to Missouri on the road by 1. I mean, so that
they're legit tournament.
They really are.
In and out every year. Every year they schedule well. Every year they're a contender in all of those games because they recruit. Stephen F. Austin, for those that don't know, Stephen F. Austin, which has produced lots of coaches, back to Danny Casper, who is at Texas State, Brad Underwood, who is now at Illinois, but he left Stephen F. to go to Oklahoma State, and then now is at Illinois. They've produced quality coaches. They've been able to recruit. If you've ever been to Nacogdoches, Texas, it's amazing how they've been able to do it because it is literally in the middle of East Texas in the Piney Woods. It is.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's an interesting location, and the fact they've been able to recruit such high quality basketball players in the Southland Conference to win the conference. They have a
Jack in the Box there.
They do have a Jack in the Box there. Yeah, they do have a Jack in the Box among other things.
There's a reason.
Among other things that you can go there and see. But seriously, the Stephen F. Austin has been really the bell cow, as we saw a couple years ago with them winning games in the tournament and getting to the Sweet 16. So maybe you'll have another one this year from maybe one of Louisiana schools, and that's also a good thing. Louisiana basketball has upped its ante really well.
UL Lafayette, top RPI in the state right now. So, yeah, absolutely. So hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. All-Pro guard, Saints Hall of Famer Carl Nix will jump on the show next. So come on back. Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Jim Derry's here, Clyde's here, Dave's there, I'm here. We're all Dunc and older.
Everybody getting in a falsetto.
Ever have a problem? You want someone who will be there to help right away. At Burkhardt Air Conditioning and Heating, that's the commitment we've made to our customers for over 25 years. Our NATE certified technicians provide emergency service for any type and any brand of cooling system. If you need help anytime, call us. We promise to get you up and running again quickly and professionally. And if you're thinking about an upgrade, right now, we'll help you save with quality cooling equipment from Amana. These systems come with incredible warranties, and we have 5 years interest-free financing available now. Plus, our Amana brand HVAC systems are highly efficient. With Burkhardt's 25% energy reduction guarantee, you'll continue saving on utility bills for years to come. Whether it's an emergency repair or a brand new cooling system, we're here to help when you need us. Trust Burkhardt Air Conditioning and Heating. Visit acpromise.com.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280. Fox Sports trending now.
The Winter Olympics get underway just about a week from now, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport has overturned Olympic doping bans for 28 Russian athletes who can now seek entry into the Pyeongchang Games. court says this doesn't mean the athletes are innocent, just that there was insufficient evidence found to ban them. So their individual results achieved in the 2014 Sochi Games have been reinstated. Major League Baseball announced that all 30 Major League teams will have protective netting that extends to at least as far as the ends of both dugouts by the season's opening day.
Oh, good.
NBA news, the Suns will reportedly buy out the contract of center Greg Monroe, so he will become an unrestricted free agent. And Milwaukee's Jabari Parker says he'll play about 15 minutes tomorrow night. Friday night is his season debut as he makes his year-long return following his ACL injury. I'm Deb Carson.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride.
It is. I was going to say, like, is there a reason it's colder in here than anywhere else?
Oh. Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Yeah, well, don't do that. Now it's going to be like freaking 80 degrees.
Today. Why?
Oh, chicken nuggets. Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car.
Yeah, you're going to go back and be like, you know what?
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Happy Febreze. La 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 la.
I'm live from inside a perfectly paired gift box from Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries, and it is big. A cream lowers 2 dozen roses inside, and up top, huge dipped berries are coated with chocolate chips. I do love berries.
This Valentine's Day, think inside the box with a perfectly paired gift. Visit berries.com now and enter code 2000 for 20% off gifts over $29. Offer expires 2/13 or while supplies last. Discount cannot be applied to shipping and handling fees. See berries.com for details.
Can something that's truly stylish be truly durable? Yes, when it's the Home Depot's exclusive Delta Everly Widespread Bath Faucet in Spot Shield Brushed Nickel. It's at a new lower price of $129. You save $20. Its soft, modern design means timeless beauty. Its Spot Shield finish means there are less spots and less cleaning. The exclusive Delta Everly Faucet, now just $129 during the Winter Kitchen and Bath event at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through March 7th while supplies last.
Josh Innes, morning 6 to 10 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
We're remembering Chief Wahoo and the good times he brought us.
Who's going to cry at trash on the highway now?
Who's going to do it?
Didn't there used to be like fights outside of Indians games with like the groups of people that had, their side?
If they just would have shared the peace pipe, everything would have been better. I stand with Chief Wahoo. Hashtag justice for Wahoo. What? Why did you never ask what Chief Wahoo feels about this? You know damn good and well Chief Wahoo likes his job. And then someone's got their megaphone.
Chief Wahoo needs to go. Go away. He's offensive.
Why is he offensive to you, white lady?
Because I'm offended on behalf of everybody. Do you know how I was raised? With privilege.
What
Chief
privilege
Wahoo
did you have?
not have that privilege. All we did is made a mockery of him. We made him a caricature.
This guy's in a Cowboys jacket and he's yelling.
He's upset. He's like, what's next? You gonna take away the Cowboys too? They're the ones that got the Indians.
Josh Innes, morning 6 to 10 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Lorde is going straight to her fans after being snubbed at the
something.
Grammy Awards.
I like how you hover. I'm sure you hover like a weirdo, too.
How can you not, like, you got an hour before
thanking
lunch.
fans for believing in female musicians. Lorde was nominated for
See what I'm
Album of
saying?
the Year,
See what happens when it's like, no, man, I gotta eat.
Finalists
For
were
real.
not asked to perform a solo during the
Yeah, you just drink Monster and you hope your heart doesn't explode out of your chest.
Zero sugar,
The latest
zero
summer
calories.
package tour is set to feature 2 of the finest voices and one of the greatest guitarists in the
Zero
history.
sugar, zero
Paul Rogers
calories,
and
all
Wilson
those
Beck will
other
kick
things
off
that
their
just like
Stars
make your
Align
heart
tour
want to
July
explode.
18th
Dave,
in
we
West
got
Valley
we
City,
calling
Utah,
Carl Nix here.
and wrap the road
Dialing now.
Sweet.
on
Okay.
August
Yeah, he should be ready.
26th. The Go-Go's are going to be coming out of semi-retirement to perform at least 3 2018
YouTubers, I hope you don't
concerts
mind
this
that
summer.
I,
Meantime, a musical comedy titled Head
eat my
Over
Reese
Heels,
cup.
featuring the songs of the band, is set to open
got
on
like
Broadway July
30
26th.
seconds.
The production will debut in San Francisco on April 10th.
Smack on the
Hello,
It's me.
it's me.
Adele is paying tribute to the backwoods Barbie herself, Dolly Parton. Adele transformed into Dolly. and
Backwoods
shared
Barbie.
her
That's
with
one way to
fans
call it.
on
That's
Twitter
one. That's
saying,
Barbie.
That's one way to call it.
Love you.
Hell.
That's entertainment. Lisa G. NBC News Radio.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little.
but you grew up and things changed. Well, it's time to put it back on your list. Innovative.
All right, we got them, and we're about to start the show.
Sweet.
Be a part of it.
Make more. Teach. Visit teach.org.
I told
Brought
you.
to you by Teach
Oh,
and the Ad Council.
Here we go. Now you're
Language.
cursing. Now you're cursing on YouTube.
Good job.
Potty mouth.
Well, he's sitting in Jeff's seat, so that's just inherent. He curses on YouTube. Duncan Holder, hour number 2 on a Thursday, February 1st. Jim Derry sitting in for Jeff Duncan. Clyde Verdant's here. Dave's back at the iHeart Studios as we're at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune Studios. And pleased to join his second rendezvous on Duncan Holder is Carl Nicks, Saints Hall of Famer Carl Nicks, All-Pro guard Carl Nicks. Carl, appreciate you jumping on the show, and I kind of explained what we were doing, kind of bringing the band back together. I had Jermon Bushrod on yesterday, I have you today. I'm going to have Jabari Greer and John Stinchcomb on tomorrow. I said, you know what, since the Saints aren't in the Super Bowl, damn it, we're going to relive y'all's win. So how are you reliving this thing with us?
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, exactly. We got to, like I said, we got to bring the band back together. But no, just when you can kind of sit back and reflect on that season and just getting through to the ultimate promised land, the Super Bowl, historic in New Orleans, never been done before, considering everything that the city had gone through, and then just kind of this team coming together that year. Just what are some of the things that stick out to you in the journey of being able to win Super Bowl 44?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that sticks out is just how close we all were. You know, a lot of times coaches say, you got to buy in, and, you got to believe in the system, but I think it starts with the players just being like genuine friends. We work together and we got a job to do, and, not every time everyone's going to be buddy-buddy, but for this some reason, everybody was so cool with everybody, and that really helped us, I think, especially towards the end when it got tough.
And when you are in Super Bowl week, Jermon said, look, you guys went out Monday night, got it out of your system, and then kind of got back down to business the closer you got to the game. But what were the challenges of kind of dealing with the week and the hype? Because NFC divisional round, additional media come around, NFC title game, additional, and then when you've got to go off-site to a place you're not familiar with and you're dealing with mountains and mountains of hype and attention surrounding it, what were the challenges of sorting through that?
Yeah, the biggest challenge is the media. You get 10 times more media than you'll ever get. Your main guys, like, your quarterbacks, your running backs are going to get their shine. But this week, Super Bowl week, they're talking to the centers. They're talking to the deep tackles. They're talking to, not the guys they're not normally given a lot of time to. And, you're in a different city, and it's very overwhelming. But I think Coach Payton did a good job with us of just really trying to get us back to, like, that training camp mode. So we would go so hard in practice, and we'd hear Colts to be in helmets and shorts. We're in full pads the whole week, really, banging. I think that kind of made it a little normal for us. So, like, when all the hoop going on around us, we were really just like, gosh, we got this 3-hour practice, and it's out here, ties, Miami, like, this is crazy. But, that really kind of helped us, like, focus in and not get caught up in all the hype.
Carl, Jim Derry here. Talk a little bit. What's life been like for you after football? And I know when you play football, as long as you have 6 years in the NFL and college career in high school, and you go all those years in a row with playing football, what has it been like for you without football?
Yeah, at first, you kind of shocking because you're used to the schedule and you're used to just doing things a certain way every day. But I get to spend so much time with my family. And I had a plan going out, so it wasn't like, I was like, gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And the transition for me has been relatively, great, actually. And just the time that I can spend with my kids, like right now, I'm actually trying to get all their sports schedules, organized from Little League to AAU, just so, I know what they're doing. But to me, that's great and that's fun, you know what I mean? I'm so involved in my kids and my wife and my parents. it's a blessing to be able to, done what I've done in the football field and transition to just, soccer dad / owner of a company / just happy camper. You know what I mean? This is great.
Any plans to get back in football some sort of way, whether it be coaching or mentoring or whatever?
Yeah, so this next football season, I'm going to coach in high school in my hometown. I'm just going to coach the offensive line. And, I've been coaching youth football for the last couple of years, just kind of dabbling in it. And, I love coaching. I love seeing young ones learning techniques. And anytime you got a former NFL player that's, wanting to come back and coach, the sky's the limit as far as opportunity for these kids, and they can take advantage of some of the stuff that I know and get back to my hometown. And I'm still in football. So, yeah, that's what I plan on doing.
Carl Nix, Super Bowl winner, All-Pro, Saints Hall of Famer, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Carl, do you still wonder if Sean Payton was crazy when he decided to call the onside kick in the Super Bowl? Because I still think he's a little crazy for it, a little bit.
No, you know what? I don't think it was crazy. I think the word is, I don't know if I can say it, ballsy.
You just did, and we're in. Let's do it.
When he said it during the practice week, we all kind of looked at him. He was super confident. He had a little swagger to him about it. And we're like, okay, this is gonna work. He convinced us this was gonna work, and no matter what the situation, we were gonna do it. And then in the halftime, he said we were gonna do it. We all kind of looked at each other, and then we kind of got fired up. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get this ball back, and it worked. And he just looked like a genius in our eyes. So.
He was that day for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just when you win, just the euphoria, I've talked with you last time you were on, and I always, you've got the best quote ever after a Super Bowl on planet Earth, and I will say that until the day I die. It was tremendous. But just your exuberance, just the confetti's falling down, you're a Super Bowl champion. Just relive that moment for us.
It's unreal. It's like, you're in shock almost. It's like you're watching it through someone else's eyes. You're just kind of floating around. And it's just people are celebrating. People are crying. There's confetti. People are just, all your family members rushing to the field. You got grown men just hugging each other. It's unreal. And I don't know. I'll never forget that. That last hour when I was just on the field after the game was over, I'll never forget it.
And did you really go to Disney World?
No, eventually I did, but not
Oh, gosh. But we talked with Jermon about the parade and how you guys had to make a pit stop and jump off the float and go buy some adult beverages and fight through the crowd. Just what are some of the fun things that you guys did? Because of course, a parade in New Orleans in Mardi Gras season, it's going to be unlike any other victory parade on planet Earth.
Yeah, I'm from California, and I've heard of Mardi Gras, and I've been, but when I was on that float, I've never seen so many people, and everybody was just dancing, and like you said, me and Bushrod, we got hungry about 2 hours into it. We hopped out, everybody's doing high fives. I think it was a hot dog stand or I forget what it was. And we ended up ordering 20 hot dogs. And, they gave it all to us. And we hopped back on the bus. And it was amazing. And we just went through the crowd and we could just feel the energy of just everybody just, you know what I mean? It was just such a great feeling.
It didn't really matter what food it was, did it, Carl?
No, it didn't. The fact that we were just out there and oh my God, I've never been a part or seen anything like that in my life.
Well, hey, Carl, look, appreciate you jumping on the show once again. Always great fun talking with you. Good luck with everything. Good luck. You selling houses, right? Selling houses and...
Yeah, actually, I'm in commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate, right. Right.
Yeah.
So good luck with all that. Good luck with high school football. Good luck with your family, the kids. Awesome to catch up with you as always. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You guys have a good one.
You got it right. That's Carl Nix, former Saints All-Pro, Saints Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner, Carl, is I say it every time I bring it up.
Hot dog stand marauder.
Yeah, right.
Because you know what I want now is I want every other person that we have, every other Saint that we have coming on the show between now and tomorrow. The only thing that I want linking all of them outside the Super Bowl is them talking about this hot dog stand they all went to.
Hot dog.
Stop.
Get it?
See, I write for a living.
Stinch would be on that float. I don't know what Jabari Greer. Jabari's going to have a different story because he was on a different float.
But you never know, though. I mean, being like, yeah, and I saw the guys all get off on the float one time to go get, I don't know, was it some hot dogs or something? And literally, I'm going to probably get a snippet of all of those, put those together.
I just wanted them to go get like some daiquiris or just go off and get. They stop at Lucy's.
It was a family-friendly show, man.
No, they stop at Lucy's and go get Jaeger bombs, man, because the parade went right by Lucy's.
Shout out to Lucy's, man.
Of course.
Shout out to Lucy's.
Isn't it cool though to hear them talk about like seeing all the people and them kind of being in awe? I mean, football players aren't really in awe of a lot of things.
They shouldn't be.
I mean,
they're bigger than everyone.
Exactly. I mean, they walk through. They're approached all the time. And for them to like get on that float and to see something that most of them hadn't seen, and to see all the people out there that, you know, anyone that's ridden on a Mardi Gras float knows what it's like to see all those people. And then, you know, through my years of riding, and you make certain turns and you're not even throwing, you're looking to see who's out there. And it's cool for them to like see that and be in that kind of awe, I guess.
And I think to Larry's point, you know, from what we talked about yesterday, I think it'll be interesting, especially next year. And I wonder if this is maybe a question we can ask tomorrow, but I wonder if, like, at any point those guys sit around and think about what they did for the city at that point in time. Like, do they really understand the full gravitas of what they were able to do?
I think they do probably more now than they did then.
Yeah,
because you're so far away from it, and then especially going into the 10-year anniversary of it next year, of like, has there been any point like either getting a bunch of guys or most of the guys sitting in a room and like asking them like, from then to now, do you look at it differently, and do you understand maybe the full weight of what that entire parade was, just a microcosm of what like the entire state, Saints fans across the country, Saints fans across the world were feeling after, you know, 5 years after Katrina happened.
Yeah, I think
it's pretty monumental.
Yeah, I think they realize it more now, and especially like someone who wasn't from here, just like say a Jermon Bushrod or a Carl Nix, and you get here, they were drafted. What, Bushrod was in 2007.
Yeah.
Carl Nix was in 2008. So they were still around when not everything was still functional yet.
Well, that's even a better question tomorrow for John Stinchcomb.
Exactly, because he went to San Antonio. Actually, he was hurt. He had torn his patella, I think, that training camp, and so he was basically out for the year. But he was moving around, and he might have been even more detached. He might have been in Atlanta or something. I forget. And then, so it's certainly interesting, but it's certainly something better than having everyone talk about the Super Bowl that's coming on right now. So forget it. So why don't we take a break right here on the show? Don't forget, let's see, 11:30, we're going to have on our own Herbie Tiopi talking Super Bowl 52.
How many more interviews?
Today's a crazy show. Don't forget, Clyde, as you were alluding to, tomorrow we're going to have on Jabari Greer. We're going to have on John Stinchcomb as well tomorrow. But today, in about 11 minutes, we'll have our own Herbie Tiopi. Of course, covers the Saints for NOLA.com. And then in about 25 minutes, he has escaped jury duty. The voice of the Tulane Green Wave, Todd Graffinini. We will relive his call of misery, even though Tulane
we're ending with him. Of course, we're going to end with him.
And don't forget who's coming on at 12:05.
That not on our show. Omar Asha is not. We're not on the air anymore.
Sorry.
And shout out to St. Martin, who has just crowded and stormed our studio. They're going to take over.
They don't want to clap because they're young. It's fine.
Take over the show. You'll probably do a better job than us. All right, we'll be back here. Sports 1280 NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for peering through the glass like we're a bunch of zoo animals. That's awesome.
That's how they look at us. No, but I'm Larry Holder, Saints columnist.
Your shot at $1,000 now. Text the keyword LOCK to 200-200. You'll get a text confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info.
And also streaming online.
That's LOCK to 200-200.
When you work for NOLA.com, the time's
Put a
big. You
grand
got
in
to
your
be able to
hand.
do
Cold hard
everything.
cash in your pocket.
This is something new that we've picked up.
For grabs
since
every
July.
hour,
It's been a lot of
weekdays
fun.
from 5 a.m. to 8
Dunc
p.m.
is actually Jeff Dunc. He is in Minneapolis covering the Super Bowl.
On Sports 1280.
You do everything.
Get ready for iHeartRadio to make this a super weekend. This Friday through Sunday, everyone who opens the iHeartRadio app gets a free preview of iHeartRadio All Access. What is iHeartRadio All Access? It's everything.
We
Search and play any song instantly. Skip songs with no limits. Listen to our amazing hand-curated playlists or create your own. Unlimited streaming music and radio all in one app. This Friday through Sunday, the All Access free preview weekend.
It's a hub for like Q93.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis. No problem. Good flight?
Yeah,
Chicken
so they kind of
chicken
put it all together there.
Did you stop chicken
for fast food? To me like he will call guests.
Today.
Why? We'll pipe it in.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has two
They can
new
listen
ways
to
to
it
drive
anywhere
away
on
embarrassing
the
odors.
Yeah, and you can listen to it on
Now available
You guys
with
don't
iHeart
listen to the
Perfumes
radio
with extra
anymore,
bold
do you?
Well, iHeartRadio app. Like we'll have callers from across America.
Just days before Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis, there is no credible security threat. That's the word from federal and local authorities. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell giving his annual State of the League address Wednesday.
Las Vegas.
Mid-city, you know, it's all over the map.
Goodell touching on various topics, including instant replay, player safety, and the Rooney Rule. Big-time NBA performances Wednesday night. Trailblazers
y'all make it more fun.
Career high 50 points in just 3 quarters as Portland defeated the Bulls 124-108.
Trip into Clyde.
Please don't do that. I'm fragile.
Y'all can knock him over.
Minutes. Meanwhile, Kemba Walker goes off with 38 points, including a career high and franchise best 9 3-pointers. The Hornets came to the Hawks 123-110.
It looks like, yeah. And playing time is a big thing. He'll play more here than.
Banned from the Olympics for life have had those lifetime bans overturned and will now be allowed to compete. The 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea.
Have a good day.
February 9th. That's sports. Jay Corwin, NBC News. Right.
All right, 30 seconds.
To buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
We just had
and if your child's in the wrong
St.
seat
Martin's
and you get into a crash,
crash the studio.
It could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're
when you're in high school, you used to crash things.
Car seat for your child's age and
I
size.
crash things a lot.
We toured DSU.
No, you know.
In high
Car
school.
crashes are a leading
And then I
killer of
sat
children
on
1 to 13.
I sat in like
Make
the
sure you
anchor
have the
spot.
right
Heath
car seat.
Allen was doing the
Visit
noon, and he sat on a phone
safercar.com/the
book.
right seat.
So
A message
that's
from the
why
National Highway
you
Traffic
wanted to
Safety
get into this
Administration and the
business.
Ad Council.
Something like that.
Heath Allen working with me.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. Great show so far because it's been less of us and more of guests. So that's why it's been a fantastic show.
I don't. That's terrible. People aren't listening just for interviews. They want to hear the commentary and the banter that we have.
No winding of the crank today. I love it.
This is the only open
No
segment
crank winding?
No
Is that what it
crank
is?
winding.
This is the only open segment we've got the rest of the show.
I mean, you guys have been nice to me today. I mean, maybe it's because it's my anniversary.
Maybe because you're in a suit. We don't want to make you feel bad. It's fine.
My boss just told me she didn't even recognize me. This is just wonderful.
I mean, that's just her in her nice way of saying that, you should probably do this more often, but I can't tell you that because that would be against the law.
You just you just did.
Wojciechowski reports the Pelicans are gathering, quote, significant momentum to signing Greg Monroe.
Now that would be a plus. I would think that would be welcomed by the fan base. It would fill a need. We talked about it earlier in the show. And, yeah, that would I don't know how much money they're going to be able to offer him. Maybe he says, all right, I'll come back to New Orleans and play the rest of the season here because I'm sure they're probably not going to be giving him some long-term deal. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Actually, I can help with this. Hold on. New Orleans could sign Greg Monroe to the prorated minimum exception and still stay below the tax. The Pelicans are $623,000 below the tax, and Monroe, as of Saturday, would count $565,000 towards the cap. New Orleans would need to create a roster spot, so someone's got to get cut.
That would be easy to do.
You can't cut your boy because he's owed umpteen $billion. So
yeah, you're probably looking at maybe Liggins, who is on his second 10-day contract.
It still would be easy to do.
For you, yes.
But my boy,
your boy,
my boy would at least be sitting on the bench and go back to playing 1.2 minutes a game like he's been doing and eat up a bunch of money along with the buffet, him and my friend.
Look, dude, if you're 6'11", I mean, with that body and that frame, you got to eat a lot, man, or else you're just going to wither away to nothing. All right, so he's got to eat a lot. Now, granted, I think it's hard to move that much body. All right, over the course of a.
I know what it's like to have to move a big body.
Not like he has to move it.
No, but he moves it about the same as I do, which says all we need to say.
He also has about 6-7 inches on you, bro.
And he's also got about $50 million on me too.
Also true. I would not hate that. I would not hate that money.
No, I wouldn't hate. I'm not blaming him for it. I mean, he's doing whatever he's got to do. There's nothing. I don't have anything against him personally. Hey, if I was him, I'd do the same thing. Go up there and airball free throws and whiff on rebounds and chug my way back up the court. I mean, dude, he does what he does.
And Clyde, shout out to Bobby Marks for putting out that info. Front office insider for ESPN, kind of spelling out what it would be. Pelicans could also use $1 million of their disabled player exception to sign Monroe. Minimum for Monroe as of Saturday is $758,000 with $565, I'm assuming, thousand counting toward the tax. So look,
you got plenty of money.
Here's the thing. I was joking on Twitter with someone last night. It makes so much sense that you figure the Pelicans won't do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what it is. Great, absolute optimism coming from you. But clearly the biggest thing, or at least seemingly from these talks that are going on,
Mickey needs to get involved in this one, actually.
Yeah.
If Mickey gets involved, it might happen.
The difference between him going, because right now it's between the Pelicans and it was between Boston. The difference being is that clearly Greg Monroe could come here and play and start immediately.
No doubt about that.
If he goes to Boston, he's just another piece.
He's a
rotational guy. He's just another piece that would not get as much playing time, would not have as much.
Light.
Yeah, exactly. Boogie light for a team that's already stacked. So at that point, if you want to come in and get the max out of it, you want to come play, there's one place to go for that.
Let me ask you, Larry. I mean, you would know. I mean, do you think that at these times like this that Mickey jumps in and says, look, you got to go do something? I mean,
probably so, because look, and here's the thing,
because he's pretty hands off for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. But here's another thing: it would come down from the Bensons. They don't want to see a loser. They would say, look, let's do something about this, because from the top, even though Benson's not in the everyday thing, he certainly puts his input in more often than you probably think at his age, and yet everyone knows there that this is make or break. Yeah. Everybody knows it. Mickey Loomis came on our show.
Time of the year.
He came on our show at the beginning when we started this thing and said it was make or break. He did not say that for the Saints.
Yeah.
He said that it was that for the Pelicans. Though.
Right. And look, they at make or break times, they generally know what they're doing.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, all right, let's take a break right here on the show. That's enough of us bantering. So,
I didn't get
7 minutes. Less of us, more of everyone else.
Pretty harmless.
Let's talk with our own Hacksaw Herbie Herbie. You know, he's
I bet you we can wind his crank.
I bet you could.
I'm gonna try.
Just get his music ready, because the North remembers.
Exactly. If Dave doesn't have any rendition of Game of Thrones,
Drill Sergeant,
he's going to be bitter. But Dave accommodates one Herb Ethiopia. So we'll talk with Herbs coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder. What?
Everything
doesn't mean you got to
wasted away.
This report is brought to you by the addiction treatment experts.
You should be thankful that we're only giving you this. We're about to do karaoke just randomly all day.
We're gonna have karaoke Thursday.
Oh yeah, where we just what? Dave spent the hits. Oh yeah, he would, but we had to play James
karaoke guy.
I'm not. But we had to play James Ingram, and I'm not playing. And we're not playing James Ingram here. All right, we're not doing it.
And for Friday by morning,
just for
he wanted us to go to a karaoke bar in Los Angeles.
I don't hate that. I would hate that.
in L.A. and he wants to go to a karaoke.
That's not a terrible thing to do, especially if all places in L.A.
You go to a karaoke bar like in Buffalo.
On Sunday.
You don't like.
I don't think that would be eminently less fun because you're in Buffalo. Number one.
We went to this place in Buffalo and ate wings, and there was this horrible
highly
band
confidential, affordable,
where she like mimicked everything she sang.
And nobody needs to know but you.
What's going on?
Oh, 4 Non-Blondes? What?
I would cry, and she would like, oh my God, like she would like mimic every move, and
someone on Match than
every
any other
song
dating app.
that they
Everyone wants to find that
sang,
meaningful connection.
she had an
and Match is not
iPad
only
in
number
front of
one
her
in
and
first,
sang
but
and
second
read the
dates
lyrics.
too.
But this
now
was
here's
like
a free
supposed to be
offer
a
for
real
our
band.
listeners. Go to
And
Match.com
so she just read
/single for 7
and sang
days
the
free.
lyrics off
That's
of
7 days completely free to search, view photos, and connect.
They're not
This free
free.
offer is found at Match.com/single.
Dude,
That's
it was-
Match.com/single.
Josh
Match.com/single.
recorder Snapchatted her. It was like worst band ever.
Worst band ever. How does kind of?
I take a bit of a
I mean,
risk.
I don't know the word. You go to Buffalo and you have Buffalo wings.
The road.
Place it was kind of like a off the beaten path. Like we looked it up and it said it was one of the places where Bon Jovi got his start.
Really?
And it was because they did the wings and they put them on.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot
Hit?
not available in California, North Carolina, or
They
from
were
all
good.
agencies.
Yeah, they were.
Alexa will now
They had
send
like
a
a famous
text
wing
message
place and we
for
tried
you.
to go and it was
Users
like,
can ask Amazon's voice
Do it.
activated
Wait.
assistant
Yeah.
to send a
Oh
message
yeah,
to your
the
smartphone
where
contact,
technically the Buffalo
and it
wing
can be
started.
routed through SMS or Alexa's messaging platform.
So we didn't.
Text
Is that the
feature
same
is
as
only
Mardi Gras
available in
starting
the
in
US,
Mobile?
and
Yeah,
only works on
no.
iPhones
This is
that
actually
have the
real.
Alexa
Oh,
app
okay.
installed, but you can't
This
send
isn't
messages
assumed.
to iPhones. Alexa devices and apps already could send text messages back.
Oh
and
boy,
forth.
as the people walk to the
Windows
street.
is gonna
Oh,
start
Mardi
clearing out
Gras, we
those
claim it.
sneaky
Yeah.
Health of your computer messages for you. Windows Defender will start targeting and removing programs that trick you into paying for a service with alarming messages about the health of your computer. The targeted programs will include any that exaggerate the severity of
All right, we got Herbie.
on your computer. Google's flight feature will now predict if your flight is delayed. Historical data and machine learning algorithms provide reasons for the delays, like weather or an aircraft arriving late. Tech Report, Larry Olson, NBC News Radio.
Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
I think we could just play this and
I don't even know what it is.
Herbie would be happy.
I know it's the Game of Thrones thing, but it's so metal.
It's the death metal version.
It's so metal.
Dave does Herbie Teope a service every time he comes on. He tries to find Herbie a new Game of Thrones theme every time he comes on. That's because Dave loves you, Herbie. Come on, my man.
You know what, though, and it gets me pumped up. The crazy thing is, I just binge watched season 7 last weekend, so this is perfect. I'm in the Game of Thrones mood.
You know it doesn't. The show doesn't come back on till like 2025, right?
2019. That's not correct. Okay, relax.
Slight exaggeration. That's all.
Herbie Teope covers the Saints, of course, for us for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Herbie, I want to start off with nothing Saints related. I want to start off with a couple of topics that you used to cover. Let's start off with Alex Smith. Traded to the Redskins. You've covered Alex Smith in another life before you started covering the Saints here with us. Just what do you make of Alex Smith as a quarterback? And what do you make of the way his career has been he's kind of been the guy who's never been appreciated, and now Washington they're showing some appreciation with the reportedly $70 million guaranteed 4-year extension.
Yeah, let's start off with the second part there first. I think most Chiefs fans, as they sit back, well, in the coming days or even the coming weeks, when they sit back and understand what Alex Smith did for the Kansas City Chiefs, he brought them a level of respectability. Before Smith arrived in 2013 via trade with the San Francisco 49ers, the Chiefs, I got to put on my former hat here now.
I'm sure you could find it. You could find the old the Kansas City Chiefs cookbook, from the recipes from all the staffers. You could get back in that mode.
Yeah, but from switching beats now, I'm just so used to saying Saints, but now you're asking me my former life question, so I got to revert back to that form there. But going back to my point here, the Chiefs went through a hodgepodge of quarterbacks, a lot of them. Brady Quinn, Matt Castle, goodness gracious, Trent Green. I mean, there's just so many quarterbacks that they went through before Smith arrived in 2013, and he helped stabilize the position. And then all he did in 4 or 5 seasons in Kansas City was lead this team to the postseason. You're talking about a guy who was a leader in the locker room, a leader on the field, and he had the utmost respect from all the players. And this is a guy, after every game, no matter how well he did or how bad he did, graciously stood at the podium and answered every single question, no matter if they were mundane, if they were crazy. But this is a guy who was just solid as a rock. I mean, he was a pleasure to cover. I enjoyed covering Alex Smith in Kansas City. To the first part of the question, look at what he did in 2017. The Chiefs draft Patrick Mahomes, a guy that the Saints actually liked coming into the draft. But they drafted him, and you got a young guy that he knows is his future, is the team's future. And then eventually Smith is going to move out. But all Smith does in his final year is throw for a career high in passing yards. He throws 26 touchdowns and just tosses 5 interceptions. The guy is solid as can be. And I think Washington got a very good quarterback in Alex Smith. Very underrated, like you said, but he's solid.
Next topic, Doug Peterson. Of course, you covered him with Kansas City. He is on the verge of Super Bowl 52. You surprised he's been able to get this thing together? And just what do you anticipate seeing from a Doug Peterson team come Sunday when the Eagles take on the Patriots?
I'm not very surprised at his success because I think when you look at coaching trees in the National Football League, a lot of people always look to Bill Belichick, but you can't ignore the Andy Reid coaching tree. Folks who have been with Andy Reid, going back to their days in Green Bay, have really done well. And not just Doug Peterson. Ron Rivera was under Andy Reid. So when I look at Doug Peterson, he's got the good foundation from his time in Green Bay under Mike Holmgren, being coached by Andy Reid, then joining Andy Reid's staff with the Eagles, coming to Kansas City, and then going back to Philadelphia. No, this is a guy who runs very disciplined type football. He also has a lot of Reid's traits where he allows his players to show their personality, but as long as they're performing on the field. And so when I look at the Eagles and I compare my time in Kansas City covering Andy Reid, I'm like, these two teams are mirror images of each other, with the exception of one thing. Peterson has not blown a 38-10 lead yet, or a 21-3 lead yet. The dubious distinction that Andy Reid has, just not being able to seal the deal in the postseason. Peterson in the second year is in the Super Bowl. You have to enjoy that success, and you have to enjoy the job he's done there.
Herbie, how do you think Nick Foles is going to fare? Speaking of Doug Peterson and what he's done, obviously has pulled the right offensive strings as far as Nick Foles coming in. He's had to change things after Carson Wentz went out. How do you think? Do you think Nick Foles is going to be able to continue the success that he's had in the first few games, the first couple games here in the playoffs, and continue it against this Patriots team?
And that's a fair question, but I think a lot of people also have to remember Foles is a veteran quarterback, and he's familiar with the scheme. Before coming to Philadelphia last year he was in Kansas City. Why is everything tying back to
I was about to say, did you cover Nick Foles? Yeah. I was going to ask, did you cover Nick Foles? I don't know if you did.
No, but because by the time Nick Foles joined the Chiefs in training camp of 2016, that I was already in the middle of changing beats. So I was in transition to New Orleans, so I didn't get an opportunity to cover him. But remember where he got his start. He got his start in Philadelphia when Andy Reid was the head coach there. And then when Reid came to Kansas City in 2013, he's under Chip Kelly and makes the Pro Bowl. So we're talking about an experienced quarterback here who knows the scheme. So going from Andy Reid in Kansas City to following Doug Peterson to the Eagles, yes, it took him a few games to get comfortable out there, but you're seeing what he's able to do. He can run what Doug Peterson wants him to do.
Herbie Teope covers the Saints for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. All right, we'll switch gears off of your previous life and move on to a life that you're living now. And this off season, we've already started kind of the Senior Bowl look. I know you're going to be heading up to the Combine here in a few weeks. What is the top position priority for you? Because I feel like it could vary depending on who you talk to. I'm curious, what do you feel like is the top position of priority where the Saints need to upgrade this offseason?
Tight end. And I think it starts at tight end. The Saints haven't had the dynamic catch receiver at the tight end position since Jimmy Graham left. And then, obviously, I wasn't here during the Graham era, but when you look at the statistics over the last 2 seasons, it's just not there. And I don't know what Coby Fleener's going to do. I don't think anyone really knows at this point. But after suffering his 5th career concussion last year, that's got to be weighing in his mind, so to speak. And also, the Saints have to be looking at it. Do we need an upgrade there? And I think they do need an upgrade there because you won't have that receiving threat at the tight end position. Josh Hill, Michael Hoamana-Wanui, we know what they're about. But, even though Josh Hill arguably put together his best career receiving games in the postseason, I think that's a position that they have to take a hard look at, is absolutely the tight end position.
Herbie, I don't think that they've ever really given Josh Hill a legitimate shot at being a receiving tight end. I mean, when they do give him chances, he seems to come through.
Except when he fumbles.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Sorry, what I say?
All right.
What did I do?
I was going to point that out to you, Larry. There were some drop and fumble issues there, but I think what you need, especially in this offense. Breeze loves the tight end position. I think we'll all agree on that one. And he just hasn't had that guy who's that disaster waiting to happen for a defense down the seam. He needs that kind of guy.
So you think, that we've been hearing grumblings and rumors and whatever about the possibility of Jimmy Graham coming back. I mean, do you think that's a legitimate possibility?
I think at this point anything is possible. But where a lot of this talk is going to be heating up is at the Combine, because this is one of the few events during the NFL's calendar year where you're going to have all the agents and all the general managers and all the scouting personnel under one roof. And the beauty of the Combine is it's always the precursor to free agency, because it's a week and a half after the end of the Combine, free agency kicks off. So once we're at the Combine, we're going to start hearing a lot of things, a lot of possibilities. Don't forget, last Combine, our colleague, Josh Katzenstein, was the one who actually broke the story that the Saints were looking to move Brandon Cooks because of everything you hear about at the Combine. So it's going to be critical of that week there.
Herbie Teope. Follow him on Twitter at Herbie Teope. And, of course, follow all of his coverage of all things Saints at NOLA.com and the Times Picayune.
Let's go karaoke in, my friend.
They will.
Hey, I'm glad, when you brought me back to my prior beat, it's like the North remembers. Everything ties back to the Game of Thrones.
Is this like the Nintendo
That's what it sounds like.
Of
Mario Brothers.
This is 8-bit.
Nintendo version of Game of Thrones.
See, Herbie, Dave goes overboard to satisfy your Game of Thrones fix.
The North remembers, my friend. Just remember that.
Thanks, Herb. See you, buddy.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, that's Hacksaw Herbie Teope.
Mike Tyson knockout.
Like Contra.
Yes,
like that.
Contra.
It might be Contra.
That's definitely Nintendo
Double Dragon.
music.
Double Dragon, that too, yes. We're total losers, all of us. All four of us.
Time to go to break.
Time to go to break.
That's
we'll add another loser to this loser bunch coming up next. Todd Grappanini, even though
loser,
Tulane was a winner last night. So we'll talk with Todd in our final segment. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app, Dunc and Holder. That version's awesome.
At Sports 1280.
Who are you?
The legend. Who are you? The WWE Hall of Fame.
I cannot believe that just happened.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.
Something that's truly stylish and truly durable? Yes, when it's the Home Depot's exclusive Delta Everly widespread bath faucet in Spot Shield Brushed Nickel. It's at a
You
new
really
low
did.
price of $129. You save $20.
It's like tomorrow's going to be
It's
the same
soft,
way.
modern
when you
design
have a
means
bunch of
timeless
dust.
beauty. Its spot shield finish means there are less spots and less cleaning. The exclusive Delta Everly faucet, now just $129 during the Winter Kitchen and Bath event at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Loverboy Love says
Southwest
it sounds like Zelda.
That too,
I
thought of Zelda too.
Tired
I
of your
thought of
long
Zelda.
workday and you're dreading cooking dinner for the family. So where's the place you should think of? Oceana Grill. And get ready to indulge your palate with the flavor it deserves. From blackened bayou duck to our signature barbecue shrimp, we know how to get you asking for more. Whether it's sitting outside or in our courtyard or kicking back at one of our indoor, unique, vibrant dining rooms, Oceana can make you feel right at home with our friendly...
Graff doesn't seem pleased.
Oceana Grill.
Why?
7:30.
I don't know. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you ready to come on? Yeah.
He got out of
You all right?
he got out of
Okay.
jury
Good
duty.
missing.
And they won.
I don't know. Maybe he's still in there and he's just trying to be calm.
I thought he
Adopt a cop.
texted me that
Maybe
he was
he
released.
snapped at the judge. You never know.
Oh, you do never know.
Encouraging.
Maybe the judge was an LSU fan.
Maybe.
In an effort to assist with
Call him
officers
Green
working
Snapper.
long hours on the parade routes and across the New Orleans area, Adopt a Cop
Wait,
raises
I know this
funds
voice.
to provide meals, snacks, and drinks.
He sounds super cool. Every year I want to hang with him.
To learn how to adopt a cop, go to NOPJF.org. That's NOPJF.org. And for as little as $10, you can adopt a cop this Mardi Gras season.
I needed a $2,500 loan to cover some expenses, so I went to the A-Team at Avant.com. Applying was easy, and I was approved quickly through Avant.com. Promo code RADIO. Avant.com, promo code RADIO. Credit products are made by WebBank. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
I cannot believe that just happened.
Dunc and Holder now. Eric Asher next at noon on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Final segment here on a Thursday. Dunc and Holder, of course, following us. The Truth, Eric Asher.
And Omar Ashik.
Despite Jim's belief, Omar Ashik is not going to be on
Are you
Eric
sure?
Asher's show. I'm positive.
Pretty positive.
I'm sure Eric Asher has probably ripped Omar Ashik just as badly as you.
Way to
have in
ruin
life.
it. Way to ruin it, buddy.
I did. But finishing the show strong, fresh from jury duty and fresh from a charter back home from Greenville last night, Todd Grappanini. And my friend, I could tell you that watched the game on TV and perfectly synced it up on using my iHeartRadio app. And I couldn't believe what I saw, and your call last night was epic Todd fashion. You're surviving or what?
I'm good. I have done my civic duty. I was released about 25 minutes ago.
Wonderful, wonderful American.
Guilty.
Hey, got to do it. But I am okay. And, I've gotten to, I've had a chance now to kind of reflect. And I've watched that play 20 times, and I still can't believe it. I mean, that it was the most improbable thing. And I've seen a lot of improbable things. And I wound up saying a little bit later when it was in overtime, I said, you can't grasp what you watch because you think you see it all. You think you see it all. And you realize you haven't even come close to seeing it all.
Graf,
But
they won.
No. And I was just getting to that. We won the game. It's all good. No one's ever going to remember it anymore, just like no one's ever going to remember Stephon Diggs because in the grand scheme of things, that play for Minnesota meant absolutely nothing to them because they got smoked the next week. And no one's going to remember it. Down the road, it's all about W's and piling them up for Tulane. And we got a road win in league play, and that's all that counts.
Todd Grappanini, voice of the Tulane Green Wave, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Of course, Sports 1280 is the flagship station for all things Tulane men's basketball.
And I will say this. And why I'm really angry right now is because of that foolishness at the end of regulation. I got robbed of 45 minutes of sleep. I could have been home at 10:45, 11 o'clock instead of midnight. And I knew I had to wake up to go to jury duty this morning. And that's the thing that really bugged me.
Look,
you don't sleep.
I relate to that. I know that life. I totally understand what he's saying.
Todd doesn't sleep. You act like you sleep. That's not true.
I really don't, but at least I would have had an option. to sleep.
They robbed you of your option to sleep.
Well, regardless, Todd. Regardless, Tulane did win the game, and they I know they shut them out with the final 340 in overtime.
325 in overtime, Larry. It was crazy. I mean,
4-2
they're not going to run a tape for the basketball, the beauty of basketball tape. They're not going to run the overtime period. That's for sure. Tulane only scored 4 points, and East Carolina scored 2 in the overtime, but. For Tulane to just lock it down defensively in that OT after, again, what was just a devastating end to regulation, I thought it showed a lot about the character and the grit of the team to come back and ultimately win the ball game. So, what happened at the end of regulation was mind-numbing, but Tulane won the game, and they showed a lot to me personally, and they showed a lot to the head coach. Mike Dunley for coming back and winning that game, because no one ever would have believed that Tulane would have won the game after what happened at the end of regulation. And if you haven't seen it, folks, and you don't know what I'm talking about, you got to watch the play, because you won't believe it when you see it.
When he let the ball go with his left hand, it looked to me like he was almost just from looking at it through TV, through a 2D thing, it looked like he was under the goal almost.
He was in the lane. But
no, I know, but it's just the way he let it go.
Right, but he's falling down.
Right.
And it was actually, Jim, past parallel falling down. I mean,
right.
He was more angled towards the floor than he was parallel to the floor or even upright. And he literally just threw it up. I mean, over the shoulder, left hand. He is a lefty, by the way. He is a lefty. And he just threw it up, falling down, and the shot goes in.
It was a horse shot.
You couldn't do it if you practiced it 100 times.
Yeah, if you
couldn't.
If you were playing horse, that would be the kind of shot you'd throw it up.
Well, that'd be the one you do on E, because you would have won if you'd have made the shot on E. You win, because no one's making that shot. But anyway,
regardless,
what are you gonna do, man?
71-69 Tulane wins, and that look. You guys needed it. You needed it after losing to USF and losing at SMU, and now come Sunday you take on a Temple team that you beat already up in Philly, and they're going to be coming. You guys tip off 2:00 Sunday. Of course, you can listen to it right here on Sports 1280 AM. And look, you guys are 13-8. And 4-5 in conference. I mean, if you lose back-to-back USF and then ECU, it would have been a challenge to kind of rebound from those two if that would have turned out that way.
No kidding, Larry. And again, that's all going through my mind while they're watching the play on review to my right, and it's like you can't lose that game, and if you lose that game, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to come back from it. So, quite honestly, we have not been playing very good basketball the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So, it wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. We had 3 conference wins all of last year. We've got 4 right now. We've got a chance to get back to 500 on Sunday. Temple's playing very, very well now. They kind of hit the skids when we won that game back in December and lost 4 in a row. But they went into SMU and stopped a 33-game home winning streak. So Temple is very capable of doing what they need to do. So Tulane's got to just kind of get back to playing like we were back, in late December and early January. The one thing, guys, is we got to start making shots. I mean, we were 3 for 21 from 3 last night, which is another minor miracle that we won the game shooting that poorly from the outside. So for about a 10-minute stretch, we played really, really well last night and opened up a 13-point lead. But, I've seen some funny things in that building in my time going to Greenville, but obviously nothing like that. But it was good to get a W. It made for a very much more relaxed flight home. I can say that, and it'll be good to get back on Ferret Street on Sunday against Temple.
And 4 out of the next 5 games, except for Houston, which I believe is towards the upper edge of the conference, are all teams that are right around the wave. So they're just the important stretch that the wave's about to head into.
Yeah, it's a big bunch. This is the most bunched I've ever seen this league. You've got Cincinnati, Wichita State, and everybody else, but Cincinnati actually is starting to separate itself from Wichita. But the middle is, one game separating everybody right now. So you got a chance if you can string some wins in a row. You can make a little headway and move up in the league. And what you want to do is get in that top 4 slot, which I think is very doable for Tulane if they get back to playing like we were earlier. So you get that top 4 slot, you get a bye in the tournament in that first round, and that is huge. That is one less day you'd have to play, and it's just a big thing. So that's really got to be the goal right now, get one of those top 4 spots.
Todd,
realistically, the 3rd or the 4th spot.
Right.
Todd, one more, and we'll be out of time. I just want to switch gears. We're in the month of February, which means the start of baseball season is on its way. Just kind of an overview of what Tulane's looking at heading into this season.
Yeah, Larry, it's hard to believe, but 2 weeks from tomorrow is opening night, and I've been asked countless times over the last week and a half, Graf, how's the baseball team looking? How's the baseball team looking? Quite honestly, guys, and I'm not trying to dodge the question, I really don't know how we're going to look. We've got 22 new players.
Whoa.
That's 2 and 2 back-to-back. 22, which is a first. So we've got some guys that are coming back position player-wise and pitchers, but it is all going to be newcomers this year. So I know they're going to scrimmage tomorrow. I'm going to go out there and watch that. I got a chance to watch them scrimmage last week when practice officially started on Friday, and I think we're going to be able to throw the ball pretty decently this year. How are we going to replace 65 homers in the lineup? That's another question. We'll see how that goes, but it really starts with pitching and defense. If you can throw the ball over the plate, which we had a lot of problems doing a year ago, and catch the ball defensively, you're going to be in most games. So I think it's going to start on the mound, and from what I have seen, and just talking to
2 minutes,
Dickinson, I think we're going to be pretty solid there.
You look at the non-conference schedule off the bat. You start at Wright State, then you go to Ole Miss for a 3-game set, 2 games against Lamar. Then you host Cal State, Fullerton, UNO, Southeastern. You host Purdue, UL Lafayette, Southern Miss, and then you go to Long Beach State, LSU, and then you start against Cincinnati in the American. That is pretty daunting, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, it is, but you gotta do it, Larry. You don't get better by playing cupcakes in the non-conference. And we're in a decent league, and that's going to be the philosophy for Travis Jewett going forward. I love it. I love playing those teams in the non-conference. And to have Fullerton coming in here is going to be great, and making the trip out to Long Beach. By the way, Fullerton and Long Beach played each other in the Super Regional last year at Long Beach. So that's 2 Super Regional teams right there. And we're going to play in about a 3-week span. So, that's what you got to do. And you don't get better, like I said, you don't get better by playing cupcakes. You got to play the big boys. And the non-conference schedule is as competitive as I've ever seen in recent memory. Really going back to probably 05.
All right, Tulane men's basketball taking on Temple Sunday, 2 o'clock tip, 1:30 pregame. Of course, you can listen to it on your home for all things Tulane men's basketball right here on Sports 1280. All right, Todd.
30.
See you. That's going to wrap up today's show. Want to thank Carl Nix. Want to thank Andrew Lopez, Mark Schlesinger, of course, DeGraff, and Herbie Teope. Want to thank Clyde, Dave, Jim. Great show today. Tomorrow's going to be an even better show. 2 big-time guests, Jabari Greer and John Stinchcomb. So we will talk with you tomorrow. Eric Asher coming up next here, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Duncan Holder. Thank you, bud. Appreciate the chaos.
All right, guys.
All right, man. See you.
It wasn't that bad.
No,
Later, guys.
See ya.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.